Welcome to Chalk Talk. I'm Chris Love.
And I'm Jane Mackey.
And I'm Jane Mackey.
Chalk Talk is presented by US Sailing, who offer a special college membership program for college sailors. It's 4 years of full US Sailing membership at a special collegiate price. Head over to racing.ussailing.org/college to sign up for yours today.
Kicking off the weekend review, apologies. Last week we told you that the ICSA Women's Champs would be sailed at Texas A&M University Galveston. We accidentally added a G to that acronym. It was Texas A&M University, the one at College Station. They had their championships in beautiful Texas 80-degree weather on Lake Bryan. Unfortunately, only 4 teams showed up. This means that second berth is lost and only the winner moves on to women's semifinals, straight to finals, and that is University of Texas.
The ICSA Team Race Champs was sailed at Ickard for 2 berths to nationals. 3 very competitive teams here, USF, Charleston and Ickard, and they sailed 4 round robins. Unfortunately though, because they had less than 5 teams in attendance, they lose 1 berth to nationals. That means that Charleston takes the 1 spot, and USF, who finished second, won't get to sail in the nationals they are hosting later this year. I've heard that next year they may try and do the same kind of setup that PCCSC does when they have the co-ed champs and the team race champs on one weekend in an effort to get more teams in attendance. Looks like our predictions are on par since we all picked Charleston, but USF not making it through this time.
So not a very good weekend at all for conferences trying to hang on to their berths. We've got CISA's women's berth going to SASA, who's going to compete this weekend coming up. We've got SASA's team racing berth supposed to be going to CISA. If you check out the allocations chart here, which shows the total number of teams that each conference has and tells us who should be getting these berths when they get switched around. But CISA is not going to get 5 teams at their team race championship, so they're not going to be accepting this berth anyway. Now, according to the ICSA championship conditions, the responsibility of reallocating that berth falls on the ICSA board. So they have a tough decision to figure out who should get it. Is it going to be NISA and MESA, who have the same amount of total teams? Would it be MCSA, who might not even get 5 teams at their championship? Or would they look at PCCSC? We're going to have to find out. Hopefully we'll have a decision by this weekend or early next week, and we'll let you know.
After Wisco's Lake was still icy, the MCSA champs moved to Columbia Yacht Club in Chicago for a chilly co-ed champs. Saturday started off with snow and shifty breeze and steadier conditions on Sunday. Qualifying to move forward to semis are Wisco, Michigan, Minnesota, Northwestern, MSU and Purdue for the 6 spots.
Shifty conditions at Brown this weekend for the NISA Co-Ed Championship. Brown, BC, Tufts, Roger Williams, Dartmouth, Yale, MIT, Conn College rounding out the top 8 and moving on to semis. Now at the end of Saturday, it really looked like teams were all over the place. Yale was, I think, sitting in 12th. But by the end, it all kind of shakes out pretty much as we predicted. The only teams we disagreed on were Harvard, UVM, and Connecticut, and they end up finishing 8, 9, and 10. So good work, guys. But at the end of it, nobody gains anything on the prediction contest.
Beautiful sailing conditions in Nap City this weekend, where the U.S. Naval Academy played host to the Mesa Co-Ed Champs. They were able to finish the entire round. Congratulations to Fordham, SUNY Maritime, UVA, St. Mary's, Hobart, ODU, Navy, and G-Town for advancing to the semifinals. And hats off to Chris Barnard and Hillary Kenyon in A Division for Georgetown with an impressive win. And not that this should surprise anybody at this point in the season, but Mary Hall does it again, taking her talents into the co-ed racing and having a convincing win with her crew, Glenn McKenna. She's a freak. She's the fastest kid alive.
They don't know Mary. There's just something about Mary.
With the final approval of the championship committee coming this week, we should have the final lineups for the co-ed semifinals. And as long as there's no change, they should look a little something like this. Now, I'm really pleased to announce that I am going to be there live in person, bringing you guys live coverage of this event with the help of the ODU sports people. So tune in to the same page we had last year for college sailing nationals. That's new.livestream.com/college sailing nationals.
So last week we had the Busa roster announced. This is a really cool opportunity for these guys to travel across the pond into England and do everything from keelboat racing to team racing and lasers and go up against the top talent in college sailing over in the UK. So congratulations to Georgetown's Chris Barnard, Chris Segerbloom from Yale, Ben Spector and Mac Mace from College of Charleston, Josh Greenslade from St. Mary's, Mimi Roller from St. Mary's as well, and Judge Ryan from Brown. So go over there and represent, guys. Good luck.
Also this week, we've got new Sailing World magazine rankings, and for that, we turn to our friend, Meredith Pallison.
Hey Chris, when we last spoke 2 weeks ago, Yale was at the top of the co-ed poll. But this week, in the 5th ranking of the spring season, the coaches have voted for Georgetown as that #1 co-ed team. Meanwhile, Yale drops down to 6th, while Brown moves up into 3rd, just 5 points behind Stanford. There are some really close scores out there. Places 8th through 10th, Navy, Roger Williams, and St. Mary's are separated by just 5 points. Virginia, a previously unranked team, has made it into the top 20 this week, and UC Santa Barbara makes an appearance in the also receiving votes section. The top 3 women's teams remain unchanged, but Tufts makes it into the top 5. They are just 1 point behind 4th place Georgetown. 2 schools that also received votes in the last poll make it into the top 15. Eckerd is 10th and Rhode Island is 13th. We have one final national poll headed your way for this spring in 2 weeks, so we'll talk to you then.
Looking at the upcoming weekend, we're going to do our predictions for conference championships as always, but I'm also really excited to be looking at a few interconference regattas. This is the last chance before semifinals for these teams to see each other and get that all-important fleet racing practice before nationals. So starting with the 26th Thompson Trophy at Connecticut College, a lot of top talent here, and you can be sure everybody's going to be sending their starters.
The other interconference this weekend is the Admirals Cup being sailed at KP. This one lets teams show their depth one more time in the regular season, having that oh-so-important laser division. Just like the Thompson, the dinghies are going to be stacked with talent as teams look for their last opportunity to go head-to-head in some fleet racing before the postseason. KP always does a great job running lots of races using the trapezoid course. And as we all learned last year, this regatta can be won having a dominant, and it'd be helpful if they're devilishly handsome sailor in the laser class to put the team on their back door.
Yep, we love a good trapezoid, Zeke. Now moving on to the conference champs. First up is the Mesa champs sailed at Hampton for 2 spots to finals and 4 to semi-finals. This is a new venue for some teams, so from that perspective it could be a bit of a level playing field. However, St. Mary's College, Georgetown, Navy and Cornell have been sailing very consistently this whole year, so it's likely that they will be battling for those first 2 spots. So who do you guys like?
Well, Navy is looking very strong. I think they have a good chance to win this. After that, Georgetown, St. Mary's, Cornell, ODU, Hobart Williams Smith, and then I think Columbia probably knocking on the back door but not getting in.
Well, I'm not sure about saying knocking on the back door at this women's regatta, but anyway, I agree with your picks, and I'm excited to see Mary Hall and Lauren Turner duking it out in A Division, giving it to the rest of the field.
Man, there is just something about Mary, huh, Zeke? I'm going to follow suit. I can't deny how the scores are panning out this season. It's got to be Navy, Georgetown, St. Mary's College, Cornell, Hobart, and ODU.
So the Mixa women's champs are going to be sailed, the first championship ever sailed at Denizen on a small inland lake called the Hoover Lake. Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisco are clearly the 3 favorites in my opinion, but keep an eye on Ohio State. They've got 2 pretty talented Helms women in Devin Kofer and Corinne Sackett. So they might make a move, but I'm sticking with Wisco, Michigan, and Minnesota.
Well, Minnesota's going to win, but other than that, you got it right. Wisco, Michigan taking the other spots.
Ditto.
And then Tufts is hosting the NISA Women's Championship in Larks on Mystic Lake for 9 spots. 9 spots, that's 1/3 of the total amount of teams that are going to get into women's semifinals. And yet, look at this talent. Lots of depth in NISA as always. I think it's going to be a battle all the way down to that 9th qualifying spot. Zeke, Jane, let's have it.
Going to be BC, led by Erica Reinecke, Yale, Dartmouth, and then an extremely well-coached group of Lady Rams from URI, then Tufts, MIT, Brown, Harvard, and Conn.
You know, I think this is really tough. 9 teams, and NISA has way more than 9 teams that are qualified to make it through. But I'm going to have to go with Yale, BC, Tufts, Dartmouth, Harvard, MIT, Bowdoin, and Roger Williams, though I'm a little unconfident in my final decision because I think Conn and URI are also up there. But there you go.
Maybe a little overconfident in Yale. I also think Boston College is going to win this one. And then I've got Yale, Dartmouth, Tufts, Brown, MIT, URI, Bowdoin, of course, and Harvard taking those final spots.
The ICSA Women's Champs has 1 spot to finals and 1 to semis. University of Washington is a favourite here. Their women's team has been sailing well all spring. Looks like Western Washington University at home will be battling with the University of Washington and a slew of other women's teams that all have their own advantages. So what do you guys think here?
Washington and Western Washington.
Yeah, same thing. Western Washington and Washington.
I have to say the same.
Over on the left coast, they're sailing their qualifiers at Stanford. They got 9 teams confirmed as of earlier this week. I think Stanford's a clear favorite. I like Santa Clara and the Wahine or Wahine, I'm not sure, whoever was from Hawaii.
I think it's the Wahine and Stanford and Santa Clara.
I left. Computer was running out of battery. Hang on. What am I picking for?
Say Stanford, Hawaii, and Santa Clara.
Stanford, Hawaii, and Santa Clara. But now it's my turn, right? USF is hosting the ICSA Women's Champs this weekend. And look, you've only got 5 teams RSVP'd here, but I hear that they have a backup plan just in case somebody decides not to show. New College is waiting in the wings. So, pretty small field here, but not exactly an easy decision. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think this might be the toughest decision on the weekend. 3 pretty evenly matched teams. They've all beat each other at one point in this season. I got faith in my Lady Cougars to get a W down there. And I think I'm going to get USF to just edge out Eckerd, but it's going to be close for that last spot.
Yep, I'm thinking Charleston and USF.
I'm thinking USF and Eckerd. This is starting to become their home water, and I think Charleston's going to be so close, but not getting it done.
Sailing at Tulane, we have 4 teams racing off for the 1 ICSA spot to nationals. That's Texas A&M, TAMIG, University of Texas at Austin, and Tulane. Now, it's tough in this district to stack each one of these teams against the other, as they don't actually team race against each other a lot. I think it's really tough for us to make a decision down here, but what do you guys think?
Well, I've actually team raced myself against a few of these current and past Texas A&M Galveston team racers. And I gotta say, they are pretty good, and I think they're going to be dominant at the championship.
Well, Chris, I'm not sure that being able to dominate you really means much. However, I'm going to agree it's going to be TAMIG.
Whoa! I'm going for TAMIG because just coming off their co-ed qualifiers, I think they're going to be on a hot streak.
I wish I had a response. I got nothing.
That's the best response. I wish I had a response.
So I'm very lucky now to be joined by one of the more infamous characters in college sailing. Now, on a side note, for those of you who don't know, this time of year, a lot of the women in college sailing take time out of their busy schedules to make a list of the hottest coaches in college sailing. This guy's certainly a perennial powerhouse on that list. So welcome to St. Mary's College of Maryland head coach Adam Werblow. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. I apologize to all the women of college sailing who just threw up in their mouth.
So, I'd really like to continue talking on this subject, but our executive producers here on Chalk Talk have made me promise that we would keep our clothes on through this interview. So we'll just go ahead and talk about some sailboating. You've been a large player in the development of the new Collegiate 420, working with LaserPerformance. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that boat and the prototype that you guys have down in the county?
Yes, we have the first school collegiate version of what we've been calling internally the Evo 420. It's been in development in a lot of people's heads for about a dozen years. Everybody from Dan Winters talking about a turbo 420 all the way through so many coaches trying to give input on how to improve the design of the boat and make it more durable, more fun to sail, etc. And this boat here has a lot of really cool features. It's an all-cord boat, and it's made with a Hexcel, and it's light. It's substantially lighter. The current Collegiate 420 is about 245 pounds. The target weight for this one's around 200. It's bulkheaded, so the water will not run forward, as you well know from sailing in Charleston Harbor with the steep chop. The water runs forward, and then the boat starts nosediving, and it's not much fun to sail downwind. And this boat doesn't do that. The bow pops up really high. All the modern look of the boat is quite neat. Pete Levesque did all the design work. And so it's strikingly different to those that have been looking at a 420 design since 1960. The one thing that's really nice is for everybody who's tired of the center air tank leaking and always having to drain that, this boat now has a structural rib down the center of the boat instead of that silly air tank that always leaks. So between the bow that's now a proper air tank like the FJ and the center rib alone, along with the weight savings, I think the boat's going to be pretty neat to sail and wildly more durable.
Sweet. So as far as the one prototype that you have, what have kind of been the noticeable differences as far as the boat sailing? You mentioned it's much lighter. Does it roll a lot differently? And what kind of have you found in comparison to the old version of the 420?
Well, I think the people who've sailed it have thought it's pretty light and lively, as well as they enjoy the vang has been double lead to the helm. The crew can do it as well, but it's definitely led to the helm, and people think that's a pretty neat way to go. So I think we're going to stay with that, with a 6-to-1 vang for the final version. So I would say that is probably the first thing that people notice, along with the way the deck is laid out, with the little hard chines on there.
So on a different note, you guys have the Mesa Women's Qualifier this weekend, sailed at Hampton. 2 berths straight to the Nationals, 4 berths to the semifinals. How important is it to you guys in such a deep district to really compete for those top 2 spots and try not to have to sail at the semifinals?
I think in any sport, you're always happy to try to make it straight through the bye round, so to speak. And obviously, we just saw in the men's basketball tournament that anybody can beat anybody when it gets to the top level. So there is some comfort in knowing that you're in already, and the stress of competition can wear on you. Of 10 days of competition of the women's, the dinghies, and team racing. By the end, everybody just wants to curl up in a ball. So I think that making it through is desirable if you can. Having said that, there can be advantages to sailing the semis too. We saw both in San Francisco and also in Cascade Locks that the teams who sailed in the semis were very well prepared to sail the finals. And so we'll take whatever comes. When we like competing, and we hope that we'll be able to do battle. We have great teams, great women's teams in this conference. Obviously, Navy with Mary Hall leading the way has been very tough. She just won B Division at our co-ed qualifiers. So Navy's going to be super strong, as well as Georgetown with Nancy Haygood has done a great job, and Lauren Turner from Cornell has really been impressive this spring. So there's plenty of teams that are going to be out there. They're going to be quite good. The usual favorites as well, teams like Hobart, etc. So we think we're a deep conference, and I'm sure this regatta will be a good test and a nice practice for Hampton, hosting the semifinals just a week later. So it'll be a nice chance to sail on that race course.
Cool. So talking about just being prepared for the Nationals like you are, St. Mary's is kind of becoming known as a team that's really improving throughout the season, particularly in team racing. Last year, you guys just one win away from winning the team race nationals with a team that a lot of people may not have even expected to make the Final Four. And again, this season, you guys improving drastically throughout the year. You tied Georgetown at the Mesa team race last weekend or 2 weekends ago. So just run us through a little bit of your coaching philosophy as far as having your guys constantly improving and peaking here at the end of the season and for the Nationals.
Well, thank you for the compliment. I would say that obviously we were beaten by the better team last year in Texas, and you and your team deserve all the credit for winning that final race. We like team racing as a team. We enjoy it. We have a lot of fun doing it. We invite our alums back to train with us, and we try to have fun team racing all the way through. Each year we practice at the end with the Naval Academy down at Point Lookout, which is a kind of a secret weapon for us because it's just a fun place to sail. And so that adds to our ability to improve by just playing in boats. And Bill Ward is an incredible coach and does a great job preparing the team on the technical side of where to lay in the tacks, where to ignore when a opposition is going away from you, and so I think that our goal is always just each race try to improve, be a team on the rise, and see what happens at the end. And if you're having fun on the journey, then you're more likely to be able to be successful in the end.
Well, that's a great piece of coaching advice there in sailing and life, isn't it? So thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining us. Congrats on a great season so far, and good luck in the postseason.
Thank you so much, Deke.
So is Werblow, in fact, the hottest coach in college sailing? You know he's got my vote, but we want to know what you think. So if you're watching this on Facebook, go ahead and like this post if you agree with me, or comment with who you think is the hottest coach in college sailing. And if you're not watching on Facebook, please do head over to facebook.com/College Sailing Chalk Talk and like our page so that you can contribute to this conversation.
That's all we got for you this week. See you later.
Good luck to everyone sailing this weekend.
Trapezoid. And hats off to, did I just say hats off to the other thing?
I think you said hats off twice now, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. My bad.
What if you had two hats to wear?
I don't have two hats.
I am recording now.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean, keeping them on their back, dude?
Put the team on your back, dude. It's a very popular YouTube video.
Okay, good. Good. Let's keep it hip and current.
You're such a dork.